All right, here we go back into it now with my guest, Congressman Tim Walberg of Michigan. He usually joins me on Fridays. Congressman, how are you today?
Well, I'm doing very well today. Hope you are.
I am. A lot going on in Washington. Mamdani will be in the Oval Office. That should be interesting today, to say the least. Trump has signed a release of the Epstein files, whatever that turns out to be. Not good for Larry Summers, I see, the former Treasury Secretary, having to go into the shadows and hide. I think that might be true for some other folks as well. But you've got some other things that are going on at your subcommittee on communications and technology. And here's something you said: students, families, small businesses rely on internet connectivity every day. We can't allow rural America to get left behind in today's digital age. I agree with that. Starlink, wouldn't that be the solution from our friend Elon Musk?
That certainly could be one of those solutions, absolutely. There are plenty of solutions out there. We just have to make sure that the dollars are there and the mapping is done properly, and we know where Wi-Fi connections are hooked up. And just don't give that to the major cities. We need to think of all of the people in the rural areas of this country. And in fact, there are places right now that have no capabilities at all, and yet we're upgrading opportunities in some of the places that already have it. And that's what we're looking at. We want to build up the connectivity and the usefulness so everybody has a chance to hear what everybody else has and use the communications tools that are most important, especially when we think of education with AI and all of the good that can be done, as long as we keep that moral human touch on it and keep the government out of super regulation as well.
When we get into all this, it concerns me. Maybe privacy is a quaint thing from the past. Back when we had rotary phones and everybody wasn't in everybody's business, we didn't have social media. And I say that because now, just yesterday, I see that Jim Jordan, one of your colleagues, the Biden administration subpoenaed his phone records for years in part of their Arctic Frost deep dive into everybody's, information. It concerns me when we're all so connected, and I agree with you, we need digital connection out there, but what do we do about protecting the privacy, protecting the members of Congress from an overzealous intelligence community, for example?
Well, for instance, that's a bill that hopefully will be coming up in Energy and Commerce Committee soon, my bill, COSA, Child Online Protection Act. And we want to make sure that adults understand that they have to make some decisions on their own, buyer beware type mentality, but the kids need a little bit more protection. But across the board, we shouldn't allow the invasion of privacy without following the legal requirements that are there. Jim Jordan, his phone records, probably they looked into mine to some degree because Jim and I have spent time on the phone together. And so probably Arctic Frost picked up my phone number in Jim's, and who knows what else went on. But that came from a runaway government, and that's why we have to have some stipulations in place to make sure those don't happen again. And we need to make a statement about an administration, the Biden administration, and people like Smith and others that were willing to do what was necessary and look the other way, Brennan and the likes.
Yeah,
because it sounded like it was real, and that would give us the punch in going after in this case, the conservatives.
Let me ask you about a runaway government. A tape comes to mind that included Alyssa Slotkin and other members of Congress, senators and members of Congress, telling the military to ignore unlawful orders. Of course, they gave no example whatsoever. They are openly telling the military to ignore the commander-in-chief, to ignore the secretary of war, to ignore lawful orders. Who are they to decide what a lawful order is from where they stand? And I found it outrageous. And Donald Trump says it's sedition. I don't disagree with him on this. I think he got a little too strong in his language, but I don't disagree with this. Is wrong. What Alyssa Slotkin did should be condemned by everyone. What Mark Kelly did should be condemned by everyone. Everyone on that tape should be called to account. Your thoughts?
Well, we're all in our delegation taking a very strong stance against what Alyssa Slotkin did. She's our own Michigan delegation member. It was horrific. It was wrong. It was frustrating to see an individual who ought to have a better concept of what the rule of law is all about to stand up and, at the very least, be an insurrectionist in her own right. I mean, here are the same people that since 2020 have decried President Trump for allegedly promoting an insurrection, forgetting the fact that he told the people to go to the Capitol, speak strongly, but do it peacefully. Here, this lady, a senator who will soon be our senior senator from Michigan, is standing up and saying to troops, disregard the orders that you give if you, basically what she's saying, if you think they are illegal. That's up to their commanders to decide that at the very least, not for the troops themselves. And what this does to the morale, the function of the military, our law enforcement officials, it's incredible that she would step up. And I hope that when she comes up for re-election, we remember this. This isn't a mistake. She did this intentionally with several other members of Congress, committing at the very least an attempt for insurrection, to disregard the commander-in-chief and his lawful constitutional right to lead the military and law enforcement.
Yeah. And so I've got members of the military. One just texted me just right now saying he will lay money that there'll be members of the military now that think that they have a green light to disobey orders. You don't. You will be thrown out with a dishonorary discharge. Good luck, working at the carnival, because that's the kind of job you'll have left available. What they have done is foment a coup. I don't know how else you would look at it, Congressman.
Well, that's what they were saying without saying it. And if you remember, as you watch what they said, they didn't give any specifics of anything unlawful or unconstitutional. So if they can't do that, then shut their mouths.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it's just wildly reckless and dangerous. I mean, we're at a volatile time in America, and for them to do that, and for Mark Kelly to sit out there and say, well, I'm doing the right thing. No, you're not.
Well, remember also, the administration that they supported, Joe Biden, told illegals from other countries to do illegal things, to come into our country. I mean, they told our Border Patrol agents not to arrest them. I mean, that is what Alyssa Slotkin ought to be talking about. When the government tells people to do illegal things or tells them not to do what they should do legally. And we have the results of that with all of the criminal element, the cartels that are in this country, the human trafficking, the sex trade, the fentanyl that's come in here because of the Biden administration that allowed illegal things to happen and kept legally authorized military and law enforcement officials from doing their jobs.
Yeah,
it's incredible.
It is. There are adjectives I could use, but it's a family program, and I'm going to restrain myself. Apparently, Alyssa Slotkin's not capable of restraining herself. Congressman, thank you for being here.
Well, thanks for outing this issue, and it's an important issue. It's not just political. It's not partisan. This is American, and they've walked away from America's principles.
Amen to that, sir. We'll talk again soon. Congressman Tim Walberg from Michigan. We'll take a break and be right back. It's the Steve Gruber Show.